Hi folkses, Yuli here with another Friday I am in love art share. And as promised, I am doing the grand reveal of my latest piece, Forget Me Not, that I completed the beginning of this week. And this piece is intended to be a part of my series on addiction, which is an ongoing series. It's a visual opera set from the perspective of the loved ones of the addict and also from the addict. And at times, the character of the substance itself or the addiction itself, the disease, also plays a part. And so this piece was intended to be the piece on overdose. But in creating it and even walking to this beautiful spot, this piece has so much more meaning. And so it's really for you. You don't have to tie the meaning to overdose or addiction even at all, because it is so ambiguous that I pretty much have left it open to your own interpretation. And so without further ado, here she is. And again, hand aged. There's an aging compound on the panel. This is the first time that I've done one like this, where the print is mounted to the face of the panel. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick zoom through. And then I will discuss like the details and the whys and the inspirations and the backstory. What prompted me to create this. I really like that you can still see the wood grain on the panel. And so this piece, as you can see, it's very open to interpretation. It doesn't like literally scream overdose, but I think you can totally get that message. So we'll just jump right into it. This piece, the inspiration came after a reiki session that I received in Atlanta at the House of Light, actually Noonan, Georgia, but Atlanta to most. And in that reiki session, the reiki practitioner, a friend of mine, had said, Yuli, I'm seeing a whole lot of these little purple and pink flowers, which later on we figured out were forget-me-nots. And she had also said that I would be reunited with a long lost friend. And so since that time, this has now been 2 to maybe 3 years ago. And since that time, I've, every single encounter that you have after that, you kind of like, are you the long lost friend? Are you the long lost friend? And, so I went through that, but all the while feeling deep down that that person was not the long lost friend. And also, meanwhile, I was also trying to think of, she had said that I would be creating a piece of artwork with all of these flowers on it, which is also totally not characteristic of me at all as an artist. I'm not a flowery kind of person, and I also am not normally an artist who loves color. So, or at least vibrant colors. And so I was like, I wonder what will I create? And so then the inspiration struck in meditation, because then I went in and I asked Spirit, can you please show me like a picture of what this piece of artwork looks like? And I was immediately given the image of an anatomical heart with a poisonous snake wrapped around it. I was thinking it was going to be a white background with all these little clumps of flowers all over it. And so all this time I've been looking for forget-me-nots so that I can photograph them and put them into digital format. But also all this while, over 2 to 3 years, I have been evolving my art style. And AI has become a lot more prevalent. And so I wanted to drift far away from digital medium so as not to be confused with AI. And so I just kept this vision in my head, and I just kept revisiting it, especially after I would meet somebody new, whether male, female, whatever, because it didn't say it was going to be a romantic, it just said a long lost friend. And I took that to mean it was going to be a soul friend, somebody who's in my soul family. And so moving along, I then got the inspiration again, and it became a nagging. And so I knew that I had to create this. And so I just sat down and I started to draw. Well, also with the snake, I had looked for stock images of venomous snakes that had been biting the heart. And so I was thinking that you would actually see the snake biting the heart, so it would be a little bit more of a literal interpretation. But I just didn't find anything that I thought resonated with me. And I just kept hearing asp, like the type of snake needed to be an asp. Well, that's not like a common snake around here. So it's not like I could just go and photograph one. And so again, I just sat with the image more and more and more. And the more I researched, I found out that, Cleopatra was killed by the poisonous asp. And then I found out that the cobra is actually an Egyptian asp. And so that's how it became a cobra. And I knew that I didn't want it to be biting it because I didn't want it to be so literal. And so I just finally found this image. Well, I sketched it out first. So I sketched out the whole entire piece and I said, yeah, this is pretty much how it's going to be. And so all of these, this is actually a drawing that then took on a little digital form. So I then took a picture of the sketch, brought it into Photoshop. I then knew that I was going to use the digital heart. And this is a prop heart. And I had photographed it many years ago and just kept it in my personal stock photos. And so I used that photograph. This here is a stock image from Adobe stock. And it just started to take shape. I thought maybe I was going to have the snake be kind of raised and use some sort of like air dry medium, like an air dry clay. But then I found this snake and it just seemed so perfect. And once I put it on around the heart, it just seemed like that was it. It spoke to me. And I left this here. So this is a different color because you can kind of tell it's just that I left the opacity. I left the opacity light. So you could still see, so that the snake would be a little bit transparent because it wasn't an actual snake that killed this person. It was the addiction, it was the substance, and it was their disease. And so that doesn't have form. And so I wanted to keep the snake a little bit formless while still giving it presence. Now then the forget-me-nots, they're now growing out of the heart. These here are all drawings that I knew that I was going to do watercolor. Never done watercolor before. And watercolor taught me a lot of lessons because it is not really a controllable medium, albeit I kind of treated it like it was. And I loved the opacity of it and the sheerness of it. And, that's when then I also put out my White Raven Wisdom Share on Be Like Water, to be fluid and to allow the piece to take shape, because I do have a tendency to try to control the art process when really it is that I am the vessel. And so it's for me to be the hollow bone and allow spirit to create and work through me and use me as kind of the art tool. And so I was really trying to go just really with intention, staying with being very fluid and being open to trying new things and creating in new ways, because otherwise my process would never evolve. And that was very important for me to evolve with my art process and put out something completely different for myself, to really push myself and challenge myself. And this piece definitely did. It also challenged me because I have some friends that have died from overdoses. And so this is a little bit of an homage to them. And it is a very a big passion of mine to promote awareness, substance abuse awareness, and recovery is also a really big cause and mission for myself. So a little bit more about so my Reiki session. So she had said, yeah, and so as I started looking up these flowers, forget-me-nots usually grow near water. In fact, how they got their name was because there's a story where two lovers were walking next to the river, and the gentleman bent down to pick up these flowers, which were forget-me-nots, to give to his beloved. Well, in doing so, he falls over and falls into the water, and as he's drowning, he chucks the flowers up to her and says, "Forget-me-not." So that's where the flowers get their name. And they are also called scorpion weed because they're very invasive. So they propagate. They have little prickles, little burrs, so that's how the seeds travel, and then they just propagate all over the place. And there's no way that you can forget them because they're going to be growing everywhere if they're near water. Well, humans being made up of mostly water, I figured that the heart was probably very watery. It was an organ, and so the forget-me-nots are growing out of the heart. In fact, that's where they're rooted, and they're growing up, and you see that they make quite a presence, and so they have become very invasive. And so if these are the watery memories of, in this case being that it's overdose, it's the memories of the person, the addict, who has overdosed on drugs or alcohol. And so there are a lot of memories that people are holding, and they hold them dear. And so and they're pretty much unforgettable because there's so many of them, and they just keep popping up everywhere. So it's almost like they're that loved one who has passed away is with us always. And so this can also be for anyone who's passed away. You have these memories of them that will never fade because they're always kept within our hearts. So that's another reason to use the anatomical heart, is because the memories we always hold dear of our loved ones are always remaining in our hearts. Now the snake, I was going to put some snake bites here, but again, so this is forget-me-not with a K, and so it's basically the heart is in the knot of the snake. The snake has created a knot around the heart, which could be kind of suffocating. But he seems very proud of himself, this snake. But really, with its regalness, is that a word? It's going to be a word now. His regalness, or her regalness, its regalness. As I was doing more research about the snake, about the Egyptian asp and the cobra, I found that there was an Egyptian queen that came forward for me. So from a spiritual standpoint, this could be, a remembrance piece that we all have, past lives, and we have past soul experiences, whether on this planet or elsewhere, whatever, take it as it resonates. And we do not get to remember readily all of the things, all the lessons, and all of the skills and all of the abilities that we've had in past lives or from our ancestors. Well, as this piece would have it, The remembrance is within our hearts. And if we go within, then we go deep within our heart, because it's our heart consciousness. It's our heart that we live from a heart-based consciousness of love. And as we come more and more from that space, we become more and more united with the true nature of ourselves, and therefore what is reflected from the inner is reflected on the outer, and we become a bit more in harmony with the natural essence of the universe as well. And as much more and more remembrance comes to us, and so we begin then to remember our past. We begin to remember more and more abilities get switched on. And so then with the snake is a very spiritual animal. It happens to be my power animal. Power animal being a spirit animal that you have a great fear of. And once you overcome that fear, then that becomes your power animal. So when you have the fear, it's your shadow animal. And then as you face that fear and you, for the most part, overcome that fear, it then more and more becomes your power animal. And so the snake also being the animal of transformation, it is also a symbol of rebirth. It's a symbol of transmutation, of transmuting and alchemy. So it's transmuting one state of being into another. Really, that's to a positive nature. So you're transmuting fear into love, or whatever the case may be. As I was researching more about the snake, there was a powerful Egyptian queen that came forward for me, and another protector, and her name is Wadjet. Wadjet is one of the daughters of Ra, the sun god. And Ra had two daughters, the queen of northern Egypt and the queen of southern Egypt. And so southern Egypt was Wadjet, and Wadjet's totem was the cobra, which she also was the protector of pharaohs, the protector of kings and royalty. And so now you can take this in a whole nother way of that, because she's so very protecting. She's almost like she's protecting this heart and the memories and the remembrance and the wisdom, the ancient wisdom. And with all of these like scorpion weeds that then also can tag along with others and spread the wisdom to those that have been around it. And so you would probably have some sort of privilege in order to be around these particular teachings. She also is the reason that most pharaohs, or even like Cleopatra had or King Tut, he had the snake on their the pharaoh garb, their crowns or their headpieces. And so that was why Wadjet being the protector. And so it's protecting, again, their head, their wisdom, their knowledge, their royalty, their lineage. And so we could also go in that direction. You could completely bypass the whole addiction and overdose bit. But interesting thing with this piece, getting back a little to that Reiki story, is that I believe now within my soul and in my deep heart of hearts that I have now met and connected with my long lost friend. And so we'll see where that goes. That's going to be an interesting path for me. But it seems that I had to begin creating the piece. And when I began creating it and posting process work, a version of that person connected with me over it. And it was because of that interaction that I went through a whole lot of spiritual growth. And in that spiritual growth, I then came face to face with who I think the long lost friend is. And it's just super, super cool how it all unraveled, and you know, how remembrance is sort of coming back to me a bit through it all. And so you can also see an interesting thing I like about this piece is, again, the transparency in the hood of the snake, where you can still see that it was graphite. And so those are memories or remembrance that's not quite yet actualized or realized or remembered. And so yeah, you can hear some detail shots of the watercolored flowers. I love texture, so I wanted to push that even more than just using the clear acrylic gel medium. And the snake I thought was kind of floating, and so I added these bits of shale that I had picked up in Ohio in the Rocky River area, and they were in the riverbed, glistening in the sun. And so they have the energy of many cosmic events: full moons, new moons, eclipses, asteroid, meteor showers, all the things. And so they have that energy, and it gives it sort of that gritty, sort of someplace for the snake to land, to be sitting and moving in. And also it gives it some pretty yummy texture and something for the snake to be looking at, you know. And so that's her, Forget Me Not. She is 30 inches tall and 20 inches wide. This is about 1 5/8, I do believe, wide. She is protected with clear acrylic gel medium, so she's not coming up off of here, and also that gives her some UV protection as well. I did also decide to extend the flowers so that it doesn't constrain the eye, it gives the eye more movement around the piece. And also because I don't really like things to be in a box. I don't like to put myself in a box. I keep trying not to put myself in a box. And just like I don't really trying to not have the meaning of the piece also be in a box. Just allow it to be like water. Allow it just to resonate with you in the way that it wants to resonate with you. And this piece is also infused with Reiki energy. I did do Reiki over the piece as I was creating it, but then also after, with intention, and especially in the rocks here below. And so you will be inviting this Reiki energy into your home if you bring this one-of-a-kind piece in. I'm thinking about having prints of this, but as of right now, I don't have any prints, so this will be a one-off. And if I do have prints, it's not going to have any of this detail here down below. I have to basically work up almost a whole new image digitally with that. And because I don't have a digital image with the flowers colored in, or them added down below, or with the rocks. So right now, prints are not available of this. This is a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork. So with that, I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to say about it, and hear what stories come up for you. That's the most exciting part about being an artist. It is for me, is especially creating something that is very ambiguous. Like, how does this resonate with you? What story does this tell? I'd love to hear all about it. So if you could just drop it in the comments down below. If you like this piece or you want to see more, give me a thumbs up. that you do like it. And if you're interested in purchasing it, definitely reach out to me and we'll make it happen. I'll get it to you. If you're a local here in United States in Virginia, I could also deliver it to you in person. And if you'd like, I could give you a Reiki session. So we have discussed all of those details. And until then, I'm sending you all so much love. Namaste.